I'm in Woodbridge, Virginia this morning, just documenting something. Back in 2008, when I was living with my mother, and she was starting to deteriorate, but it was still 2 years before she would eventually pass away. I actually considered moving out of the house and getting my own senior apartment. And the place I looked at was actually this. It's Potomac Woods in Woodbridge, kind of tucked away off of Route 1. The fact that I even considered it, thought that I had to consider it, is interesting in and of itself, because I would have had to be back there all the time, but I wanted to have my own space, and a lot of people thought that I should be paying for my own space again and should start doing this. I wound up, as you know, living in the house for 6 years after she passed away, and then getting a condo with the trust, in Skyline Square. But there are some interesting points about what is right and wrong about inheritance and how people should behave. There's a lot of points to think about in that experience back in 2008. So I just came down here and thought I would mention it. One of the problems right now is that with COVID, people cannot always take care of their needs. If they have tested positive, and then something happens, an appliance breaks, or they have to actually go someplace they can't, or something happens with, they probably cannot take care of their needs easily unless they're in a pod of people that takes care of them. Well, if they're very independent like I am, I don't really have strong connections to my relatives, in that we don't have each other's backs or anything. There's actually someone distantly in the family that's quite ill, but we haven't really been doing that. And so if something happens, you have a disincentive to, for example, if you know you've been exposed, I'm fully vaccinated, but I know I have a disincentive to take the test, because if I were quarantined and then something happened, I wouldn't be able to function at all. So there's some incentive to encourage people that are in my situation to move into a place like this, even though it also, in another way, I've been safer because I do live alone and not around other people as much. So it's something to think about.